Alrighty, it's time for this month's Q&A. If you got any questions you'd like to see featured on a future Q&A, you can always leave them down in the comment section below, and I might just save them for a future video. So this one comes from Yes It's Me. What's your favorite death scene? I've actually made a video on it, and it's spoiler alert for Death Note. It's L's death scene. That's actually like my favorite episode in anime, period. I love everything about the build up to that, the almost acceptance, the religious undertones. I'll have a video linked somewhere. I think it got age restricted by YouTube because YouTube be dumb, but either way, that's easily hands down my favorite, not even a competition. So this comes from Ventus BB. I don't know if this technically is a question for you, but the Reborn is a vending machine anime. The light novel got axed, so how did it get an anime? Like, it doesn't make sense to me, but I'm glad it's did. So basically, what ends up happening is, yeah, like a lot of times, like something being popular in the light novel or manga world will end up getting an anime because the source is popular, and then it's a whole propelling of things. But so much anime gets made anymore that a lot of times production studios, like, they might primarily only adapt isekai, they might only primarily adapt so-and-so, or they'll see something that's currently popular, which is isekai, reborn, or wacky ideas. They'll say, oh, this series that only got 3 novels before getting pretty much indefinitely canceled because it had low sales, they adapt it. And what can sometimes happen is the popularity of an anime then gives the author the idea that, okay, maybe it's popular enough, maybe it's profitable enough, and they'll go back to it. And if not, well, there's 3 novels out anyway, and you basically got an anime season's worth of content here, so it all just kind of works out. Sometimes it helps to propel the source material to start again, and if not, the anime studio gets to adapt something and have a little bit of profit there as well. So it just always works out in that way. I got a couple here from Action Vids. What's a top series that left you flabbergasted that you needed time to cool off or just process what you just read or watched? So hands down, I think the one that I could immediately go to, which just top of my head, is Welcome to the NHK. I remember when I initially first watched that show, like I ended that and it was just such an empty feeling. Like, it wasn't good, it wasn't bad, I just felt so like, damn, the way they explore depression and anxiety and just the lowest point you can sometimes get without completely ending it all. That show, the manga, the anime, it's just so good, so depressing, so bold and different. Like that, I mean, I only rewatched that one once in a blue moon. It's a pretty heavy series, so definitely that one for sure. And for the second one, this one kills me. If you could bring back any kind of fictional anime or movie food or animal or vegetable that you could bring into our world, which one would it be? I, for one, would love to try out a magic carp sashimi or sushi made from it. It may sound evil considering I'm a Pokémon fan, but I would try it regardless, bro. I'm about to get way more dark than you, don't worry. I think the obvious one, like the best objectively one, would be something like, I don't know, a fruit from One Piece, because you'd get superpowers from it. But you know what, I'm gonna go dark. I'd eat a Chansey. Bring a Chansey back, I'd eat a Chansey. Or honestly, a Whale Lord? I feel like that's gotta be in like the forbidden food territory. Like Whale Lord's gotta be majestic, like limited species. I don't know, for the thrill of it, like a little hunter in me. But honestly, I think my absolute guaranteed answer, a Mr. Mime. And the reason is I don't like Mr. Mime. They creep me out, but Mr. Mime's got an oddly human presence, and I think if you ate a Mr. Mime, it's the closest thing you get to cannibalism without having to feel guilty. And as dark as that sounds, that's my answer. I mean, probably gonna get canceled for that one, maybe, I don't know, but I don't know, there's something about that little fuck that, I don't know, I'd eat a Mr. Mime. So from Henry, we got, did I see the trailer for Junji Ito's Uzumaki that was released? Yeah, just hoping that doesn't get delayed again. And also, do I plan on watching Frieren and the Apothecary Diaries? So in terms of the second part of this, yeah, I plan to watch both of them. Obviously the Frieren, or however you say it, that one looks the most interesting to me out of the two because it's a 2-hour premiere. Just the whole concept of like an elf like living for so long and then like going off after like defeating some great evil and having to find new connections. It just sounds like a really good series. And in terms of Junji Ito's, I mean, that looks fantastic. I think that's going to be one of the best, and they can delay that thing for the next 10 years for all I care because what they're pumping out looks absolutely peak. So Deandra says, which superhero do you envision yourself after? I mean, I've always seen myself as a Captain Underpants kind of guy. I don't know. I just appreciate the embracing of the nudity in a way. But, I don't know. I think any of the good superheroes, I think everyone relates to. I think there's a reason Spider-Man is arguably the most, like, known superhero everyone always wants it because he's just like that average guy you can kind of relate to. But pretty much any of the main ones I really like. I mean, I kind of like the idea of Batman's trauma, just absolutely just beating fools up in the dead of night and questioning how noble he actually is at times. But Captain Underpants, that's my answer. Oh yeah, so this one comes from when I was talking about how I want Garfield in an isekai. So this is where it comes into this question. Did I ever watch the Garfield and Friends cartoon? So originally when they asked this, I wasn't sure because, like, I remember when I was a kid, you know, when I was young, like, we were in between the era of when VHS was then, like, DVD overtook it. So I used to have, like, a couple VHS tapes that I would watch a lot of as a kid, and one of them was Garfield. I had no idea if that was Garfield and Friends or not. Turns out it is. Love that show. I only saw, like, 6 episodes out of it, but I rewatched those ones a lot. Like, Garfield is just, it's a good, like, I even like the live action movies, man. Like, that's a good, consistent series overall. I like it. Gravity Hero says, if you could make your own isekai or really your own anime in general, what type of world would you create and what genre would it be? I'm not really sure about genre, but I've always had this idea of almost like this weird, I'm not going to give away too much because I don't know, maybe someday your boy will write this story, but it's something like the idea of like, the punchline would be that you would go through a large chunk of it and it'd be one type of anime, whether that is a typical fantasy or whatever. And at some point things would start breaking down and the main character would start having like wondering what even is real anymore, and it would then start jumping around to different types of worlds and stories, and the character would have an issue with basically trying to accept anything as real, and in return he would ruin relationships. So it would like jump into like the new world would pretty much act like he's been a part of it all along, but he would have trust issues and he would never really know which is real until the end of the story. And I thought it'd be a pretty interesting twist and turn of not knowing what to believe is real, kind of jumping between like maybe 4 or 5 stories, and he has to try to maybe only save one of them or something. I don't know, it's a jumbled mess in my head, but I always have the general outline there, so maybe I'll do something with it someday, but I always thought that'd be interesting. So Boshua20 says, I know we all praise Japanese voice acting when they're great, but after I said to my friends flute playing was good, it really wasn't, and she got pissed at me that I was tone deaf. I realized that because I don't speak Japanese regularly as a first language, I'm not really sure if I can really even tell the difference between a bad Japanese VA performance and a good performance. And honestly, I think this is I'm glad someone fucking finally brought this up, man. This is absolutely true. Honestly, if you talk to anyone who is fluent in both Japanese and English, they will all say that there really isn't a whole lot of difference for the criticisms that people have for English voice acting that's not relevant in Japanese. The over-exaggerated, ridiculous voices, they're all there, but because most anime fans who talk about anime online don't speak a wink of Japanese, in return they think what they're sounding is just a normal person, so it's just like this great voice acting. There is some amazing voice acting, but a lot of the issues that you'll see people bring up about English dubs are literally the same things that they praise about Japanese, but they don't tell because they don't have the ear. And it's true. If you were to show me what is apparently objectively bad flute playing, it's entirely possible I'll say, damn, that sounds good, but you're not hearing the imperfections because you're not a flute player. It's the same thing when you don't speak the language. It's why the dubs that people criticize, like English dubs, you show that to a Japanese person, they're gonna say the same things that we're saying about the Japanese dubs. Oh, that sounds great. I love the English voice actors. They give it such a good, because you're missing the nuances, the mannerisms, and it's absolutely true, but a lot of fans refuse to accept that. But you're 100% right. So Lester Williams says, question, how many English subtitled anime could you watch with breaks in one day? The most I can handle is 3 shows. For this comment, I'm talking about a running time that's like 20 minutes for each episode. So basically what you're saying is like, if you're watching anime, how many would you want to watch in a day, even like including breaks, and before kind of getting burnt out? I think 2 to 3 is honestly the best, because if I'm talking about, like, I watch things other than anime throughout my day, and kind of my system is like, whatever anime I watch, and then the shows that I watch in my free time are things that are outside of the anime realm more than often, because I don't want to just do the same thing twice. I used to be able to watch like fucking 30 anime a week, and that's not a lot, man. Like, back when I was in college, like, my only free time was I'd take 20-minute breaks, so I'd watch like everything in a season, like back in like 2013 and like the summer season, and it burns you out. But I think it's always weird to me when I see people act like watching 10 anime a week is a lot, when that's like, what, 3.5 hours of your time? Like, that's not really a lot over the course of 7 days. But if you're watching like 8 shows a day or 5 shows a day, yeah, it does get a little much. And I think 2 to 4 can kind of be the sweet spot where, you know, you spend an hour a day watching some new anime. That's a good amount. You're not burning yourself out. Maybe you throw in a retro anime that you casually watch throughout the week as well. Any more than that, and I do find it kind of gets a little burnt out, especially for me who has to make like 3 different videos on the anime in question. I gotta make the live reaction, I gotta make the video, sometimes I make a short, right? So it can burn you out if you do any more than that. At least that's how I personally feel, but yeah. But that's all for this month's Q&A. Some good batches of questions in my opinion, and like I said, I'd eat a Mr. Mime. Shoot me. Let me know your questions down below, and I might just feature them next time. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course ring that bell. And hey, you might be seeing all these fancy people over here. You can get your name featured over here if you would like to. If not, that's fine. I'll just cry in a corner. Shoot me. But we do have the Patreon, early access on videos just like this, name feature in the credits, and hey, you also get live reactions to all the shows I'm covering and much more, so consider supporting if you still wish. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.